So it has been a minute, like maybe a literal minute since we made a booze soap. And so, you know, I'm due. I'm apparently fiending. And so that's what we are doing today. But this one is actually pretty cool. It is a custom order for a Sudser. And I had a lot of fun designing this one using a wine that he made. And before I talk to you a little bit more about that, hello, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and today we are making soapy wine-themed things that actually do contain a wine from one of my Sudsers who likes to make wines and meads and beers and all the things. And that's awesome. Now, this particular Sudser, he's a very dear friend, and he was so kind that he actually brought me a bottle of wine to use for the pour itself to make the soap, but, you know, another one to drink so I could taste it and figure out all the notes. And this wine is so good. It tastes so delightful. I would call it a dessert wine, but not in a super sweet sense. So it's got, you can taste the chai that's in it. You can taste the vanilla, and there's honey, and it is a delightful white wine. And I was not actually expecting it when he brought it in and he opened it up. I was not planning on it to be so smooth and delightful and awesome. And so I got to taste it and went, okay, this is where we're going to go with the theme and the whole thing should look like. And that was cool. Now, I decided actually, because we did have enough wine for a couple batches, that I thought it'd be fun for me to taste the wine, make the soap, and then for the Soaprentice to not taste the wine and just make the soap, using the sort of things that this particular Sudser said about the wine, as well as his sort of end goal with all of his wines and meads and beers and all the things. So today we are doing my bar, and tomorrow we will do the Soaprentice's bar, and the client will get to choose which one he ultimately likes more. And I'm thinking probably he'll end up going with a little bit of both, but you know, we're going to get into that, you know, later or tomorrow, or maybe he'll tell us in the comments. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go check out the making of his awesome wine soap that I still haven't named, but we'll come up with it. We'll figure it out. So first off, this wine that I'm using, all proper like, frozen up and everything, this wine was made by one of my Sudsers, and he is a dear friend. He gets into all of the dope shit. He does, he makes wines, and he does beer, and he does all of the things. He's taken a few soap classes from me. He is one of the people that like speaks to my heart soul in life, right? Because he's like an OG DIYer. He likes to know how things work, and he's super into food too. Like, he makes some extraordinary food stuff. It's actually how I met him. I was at a party and he had made some food thing. I don't remember what it was, but it was delicious that I just could not live without. And so, you know, we chit-chatted and it was all the things. And yeah, so he made this wine and he wanted me to make some soaps based on the wine. And so he came in and he brought me a bottle for the making of the soaps and the things, but he also brought me a bottle to taste. And it was extraordinary, and I didn't expect it to be, right? Because he was saying that it was this it's a chai wine with like honey, and I mean, I'm gonna look that up right now and see exactly what he put into it. And so he was telling me about this wine, and I expected it to be a red, and so my brain went that way as far as the design went. So I'm thinking red wines, but he showed up and it's a white wine, and I'm like, oh well, that's interesting. Okay, and I tasted it, and oh my god, it was so good. I would call this a dessert wine, but not a dessert wine in like it's a really sickly sweet wine. It's because it's very not. It's so smooth, it's so delightful, and it is a clover honey, vanilla, black tea, and chai tea. Those are the main notes in that, right? And I'm thinking, wow, that's impressive. You can taste the chai, you can take all of the things. And so I ended up really loving this wine, and it was, you know, kind of my job to taste the wine and make the, you know, the soap and the scent blend and everything to sort of pick up on all of the things that were awesome about the wine. And so that's what we are doing today. We are making a custom soap for him based on the things that are in the wine itself. And so we are doing a red clay into a portion of it, as well as some cool. So you have the black tea and you have the chai tea in them, right? And to me, those flavors together always say deep oranges and deep blues. And so that's what I decided I wanted to go with this, was a deep orange and a deep blue. And so that's what all of these pigments and micas and all of the things here are to create the colors that I am, you know, ultimately going for. And so the red clay will go into the orange portion, and the white clay will go into the middle portion, and the activated charcoal will go into the dark blue portion. And so it's a triple clay blend. The oils that were selected for this, we have babasu, we have shea, we have coconut, we have olive oil and hemp seed, as well as apricot kernel. And I selected all of these oils because we were chit-chatting, like, again, he gets into the actual like chemistry of soap and the properties of the different oils and all the fatty acid profiles as well. So he's someone that I super appreciate for that, because for the most part, most people that are using soap, they really don't care what it is that you are using to make the soap, right? Like, they don't care. There are certain things that they do care about. Is it vegan? Are there animal products? You know, is there goat's milk? Is there oat milk? Those sorts of things. Look how beautiful that lye solution is. Now, I went ahead and strained it just in case, because it is, again, a new, it's a wine that I've never worked with before. And so I did want to strain everything out to make sure that it was, you know, not going to have weird sediments or anything. But honestly, that was a pretty clean pour with all of that. And yeah, so I wanted for this, because he does care about the fatty acid profiles, I was like, okay, cool. Well, and he was talking about specific bars that he really liked in my line, and I went, cool, well, I'm going to do a blend of those oils because I know that he likes the performance of those soaps. And so that's where this particular oil blend, you know, was born and came from. And yeah, this is a fun experiment, really, doing essentially making the wine soap after having tasted it, and the scent blend all to match what goes into the wine, what it tastes like, what it smells like, all of those things. Because normally I don't do that. I do that with my beer soaps for sure, but with my beer soaps, they're designed to look like a mug of beer there, and so I pull from the notes that's in, like, you know, an orange IPA, right? Well, I make it smell spicy and orangey and hoppy and all that. A black and tan, well, that's obviously going to be oatmeal tones. That's obviously going to be a honey ale, because yes, you're capturing that. But I usually don't do that with wine. I usually just put the wine in and make for the performance and for the awesomeness of a wine soap, and then just make it smell like whatever I want it to smell like. And I'm not doing that. This is, I think, maybe the first time that I've actually ever modeled a pour off of the things that go into a wine, which is cool. It's like super fun. So I'm totally digging this. And so far I am really digging these colors. My biggest concern with the colors is I'm from Colorado, and I whenever I see orange and blue together, I immediately think Denver Broncos. And so for that reason, I shy away from doing orange and blue because I don't want it to look like a Broncos soap. Not that I don't love the Broncos, because under normal circumstances, when they aren't embarrassing me in a season, I super do love them, for sure. But, you know, again, that's an acquired taste. That's a Colorado taste. And, you know, I'm not in Colorado, so I really want to make sure that this guy's wine soap does not end up looking like it needs to be stamped with, you know, Miles, which I think is the Broncos mascot's name. But at this point, I don't even remember what the name of the stadium is anymore, because when I left Denver, it was still Invesco at Mile High. So I think it's changed like 3 or 4 times since then. Let's go pour this soap. Now, with this pour, I did want to make sure that I wanted to play with some really cool layered techniques. Just because I feel like the mouth taste of this wine was layered. Like there were different things that you would taste at different times while you were drinking it. And so I wanted to kind of pull that into the actual design itself. And, you know, it has some depth. It's not just the top scent. It's not just the top taste. It continues to sort of build on itself, which is delightful. And so I wanted to do a layered soap as a result. Now I have my mold on an angle here to pour the base layer of the blue. And then when that firms up, I'm just going to put everything back down on the mold back down on its bottom and pour the white and then the orange. And the white is going to have a poppy seed exfoliant in it to provide some interest and some contrast in the white area. And that's, you know, kind of the thing. So yeah, the scent blend, actually, we should talk about that, because coming up with the scent blend for this particular wine, it was pretty fun. Ultimately ended up going with a scent blend for one of my wine soaps, which is a Shiraz. It's a very sweet blend at about 25%, and then about 25% of a delicious chai blend that I have. And then what else did I put in this? A little bit of vanilla, and then the rest was the bourbon blend that I used for the Frank Sinatra bars. And it is so good. Like the scent blend on this was just completely amazing, and I feel like really captures the overall essence of the bar, which is awesome. But yeah, it was, I don't know why the bourbon ultimately ended up working so well, but it really does, especially when paired with that chai. It makes a very, it's a very much a unisex scent for sure, but it's an alluring scent, regardless of, you know, male or female. Definitely a unisex blend, but an alluring blend at that. And it's almost an intoxicating, kind of spicy smell with a little bit of, you know, the clean and like the sharpness of a bourbon. Unbelievable. So good across the board. And I thought that that was a really good way to capture everything that this bar was for this particular wine. And yeah, so that's, you know, what we went with for the scent blend. And actually the Sudser came in and we were just playing with the scent blends while he was there. And so I was just making up little test, you know, sniffers of it, and he loved it. He approved that. So we went, yeah, let's roll with that for sure. We needed just a little bit of sweet to it, because again, I would call this a dessert wine, but it is not sweet like a Moscato. It's not sweet like that. And so I wanted to have just a little bit of sweet with all of it, but mostly some spice and some, yeah. So that's what we went with. And so far so good. I don't think either of these colors even remotely resemble, you know, Broncos red and orange. So I'm excited about that. I will definitely be C-popping this regardless, because I do want to make sure that these colors don't go weird during saponification. And the final layer, again, just a very easy pour. I really don't want anything to break through the surface with these layers at all. And so I'm pouring very close to the surface, and I'm pouring very slow, really. And so that is, you know, what I working on to ensure that we don't break through the surface at all. And as I was talking to the Sudser about these this soap, and he's talking about these other wines that he's making, right? And he already does beer and, you know, all the things. And I think he does meads too. Although I don't, to this day, I don't know what a mead is versus a beer or a wine, whatever. But I mean, I'm encouraging him at this point, like, you should be making these soaps. I think that would be great, because he has this idea that he would like to open up like a winery, a local whatever, and that's very big in the Pacific Northwest. They always go over very well with, you know, everybody, because people love local craft beer and wine around here. And so I was telling him that would be great. You could make the wine, make the beers, do the things, and make the soaps. Like, you have the knowledge base, you know how to do the thing. And so for this one here, I am just playing with the top. I'm not 100% sure what I want it to look like. I've yet to incorporate honey into any of this, but I felt like the rose would be a stunning addition to the top of the bar. And so I basically decided to go, you know, a few of the bars with the rose petals on top, and then ultimately the rest of the bars down the length of, you know, this little batch with the technique that we do for, well, I mean, for honey soaps, right? Like when Georgia May did the honey bee with the cute little bee that she made out of soap dough. Yeah, that. Just use some bubble wrap on that piece and let it dry while the bubble wrap is in it. And you just peel it off the top, and let's go check out this cut and see what we have. So on to the cut of this bar, and at first blush everything is working out, you know, just seeing the blue from in there, and then the orange on top, the rust colored gorgeous orange. I'm super here for that. And you know, that's the benefit of a silicone mold right there. It's easy to get everything out. I am admittedly getting it out of the mold too quickly. I should have waited a couple days, but I never do, like literally never do. It's not my style. So, you know, whatever, just clean up the stuff because it's still soft enough to do. And look at that. Isn't that pretty? That is a very exciting end piece there. And yeah, I mean, just looking at it here, oh, that's pretty. That is so pretty. Now, because of the rose petals, and I realized this as I was cutting, and I always forget with the first cut that I'm doing to put the bar in such a way that the rose petals will not drag through the design, that whatever petal toppers will not drag, the cutter won't drag it through the design. And I forgot with this one, like I always do for the first cut of any loaves. So that sucks because there's only like 4 of them that have that, but it's okay because, you know, just again, it's a very soft bar. I can smoosh everything out. It's going to be great. And then, you know, using the microfiber to buff it all out, that totally works too. And yeah, I really love these bars. They are absolutely gorgeous. I am super in love with this. The orange color up there, it's perfect for a honey or a, you know, chai, or it's gorgeous. And I love the blue. That is such a pretty bar of soap. For sure. The white is quite white. You have the extra kaolin clay in there. The poppy seeds definitely help the contrast. I don't know which one I like better though, right? The one with the rose petals on top, or the one without the rose petals and the honey. I haven't actually been able to talk to this Sudser since these were done, because I did a batch and then I thought it'd be fun for Georgia May to do a batch. And so she did one too. And I messaged him about them and said, hey, they're ready. You can go and grab whatever you would like, however many you would like from the shop. And, you know, whichever one you like better, or both, or whatever. And then he ended up taking both batches in their entirety. So I haven't actually talked to him about which one he prefers more. So maybe he'll let us know in the comments below, you know, which one is cooler for him, really. I honestly can't decide, you know, honeycomb up there without rose petals, or rose petals without honeycomb, or maybe honeycomb plus rose petals. I don't know, but I do know that is a gorgeous bar of soap, and I'm super happy with everything about it. That is day 246, the chai wine soap for a Sudser who made the wine. So I'm from Colorado, and I was worried that this design was going to end up looking too much like Denver Broncos, and I don't really want to support the Broncos right now because they're losing, and I only like winning teams. Kidding. I will always be a Broncos fan. It's a joke. But yeah, no, ultimately it did not look anything like the Denver Broncos colors, and it is gorgeous. I love just the simplicity of this bar and the nice angles, and I'm always a sucker for a nice textured top, so across the board, loved it. The scent blend that we selected for this to sort of ground and enhance the wine that went into it, I love that as well. You've got notes of leather, you've got some bourbon notes, you've got some, grape notes, and it's amazing. Got the chai in there as well. Can't forget the chai. So it's a really delightful blend, and I'm excited to see, what the Sudser ultimately thinks of it. Now tomorrow for day 247, we will be doing George May's version of this soap, and we can look at the two together and see, which ones we like more. If you are interested in more soapy antics, subscribe to the channel. You should do that thing. That would be cool. The next couple weeks, so I decided that for the end of December, since it's the holiday season and putting out like holiday soaps, we've done that, and it's, all a thing, that it would be fun for the last few weeks of December to do some more like deep dive tutorials instead of just the standard look at all the awesome stuff. Let's like go back to basics and talk about, fatty acid profiles and how to calculate your solute, all of those things. So more of like a soaping masterclass than, this. So format's going to be pretty cool for the next couple weeks. So subscribe. For those of you who are subscribed, thank you so much for being subscribed. I love you as always. And I will see you guys all again tomorrow. Bye.